Bonjour, Megisi Queen, Indigenous Cause, Dodan Megisi, Waswagning, and Dunjiba. I would like to share my poem called Ancestral Women of Creative Spirit. We are the great-grandmothers, mothers, daughters, aunties, Keiti, Anishinaabe, life-givers, culture bearers. We are the red woman earth vessels. We are the sound of eagle whistles, the heartbeat, healing, love, and the backbone of our family and local reservations, our urban communities, representatives of our state. We embellish our aura in love, keeping native culture alive even through assimilation. Two paths. One, living to keep our Anishinaabe culture by ceremonies, pipes, sundance, and moon dance, and Maday, big drum, water walks. The other path, church, school, government, councils, committees. Both paths are the major concern for the future generations leaving their individual legacies. The drumbeat life, like a smudging cedar. How the Great Spirit Gitchimanidu blesses survival from our ancestors' source of life by hearing their prayers of the past, present, and future. The Ogichidakwe are the center of their homes and connectors in the tree of spiritual life. Also, the relationship with Sky World, Grandmother Moon, Grandfather Sun, and the circle of life with 4 seasons and 4 directions. Their lineage, direct descent from our ancestors, our clans, our names reproduced with the perception reality, weaving the values, women of leadership given intricate teachings to live and help their families. We are listening for our guidance, which concedes the understanding of our way of life. We are reflecting the prayers from our Géti Anishinaabe grandparents years ago. We have great humbleness for reverence to our great spirit creator of all. The awareness that we are in the Creator's presence. Each moment is sacred. Capturing woven images of ancestral women bring honor by dignity. A breast reverence. Awareness does reflect many life endurances, strong hearts filled with love and kindness from Weaver Mary Burns Miigwech.
No matter how often I hear that poem, Tinker, I get something out of it every time. And I'm thinking now that we're here to talk about Ancestral Women, the production, I'm thinking how appropriate that poem is because it connects everything together. And the more I think about our project, this project that we're working on, this journey that we're on together, the more I think that it's all about connection in one way or another. It's about how we're connected to our ancestors, and how they've given us so much, and how we connect to the 7th generation. And you talk about connectors in your poem, so I really appreciate that's there, because more and more that's coming out to me. I'm Carol Amour, a good friend of Tinker's. That's why I'm here, because she got me involved in this project. We got each other involved in this project. And Christine Doud has been involved in it from the very beginning, really, early on. And it all is based, really, on that art exhibit that this poem was written for, the fiber art exhibit, the beautiful fiber art done by Mary Burns.
Right.
But it's really all comes from what the ancestors have done. I mean, none of this project would be here if it hadn't been for all of the gifts that we've received from the ancestors, all of the things that they did, the resilience that they had, the strength that they had. Tinker and I were just talking one day. Basically, we were looking at the art exhibit, at Mary Burns' beautiful art exhibit. I think when it was in Wausau, Tinker, isn't it?
Yeah. Her first show was in Wausau.
Yeah. We were looking at that, and we were just saying to each other, I don't know if we ever told you that part, actually, Christine, that wouldn't it be amazing if these women could come to life, or if this exhibit could come to life, and we could really hear more about their story and so forth and so on. And that gave us the idea of doing Ancestral Women, the performance art project. And that's how this really got started last fall. I think we first started talking about it.
Right.
And we went around. Yeah, that's from the program, right? Right.
The Ancestral Women with 12 tribes here in Wisconsin, and there's representatives of each tribe when we have our ancestral performances at different places. So, like you said, we're really connecting with the people and bringing honor to women. Mostly, we want to do that because we're not just the housekeepers and cooks and, taking care of families, which is also important.
Certainly.
We need to bring out the honor of the women that have been here before, and I really thank Mary Burns for thinking of that way for our people, and she got that guidance and direction to do that, so we can go out into the communities, and go around to the colleges and different places that were invited, museums, and so I'm looking forward to sharing, each time we go, it's different. When we go into different communities, we involve the people in the communities with their youth and the youth drums, and so it's really nice, that we can do that.
Tinker, when we had our first performance down in the Milwaukee Indian School, and we did the audience of the entire school, and it was our very first practice performance, and we had invited young women, ladies from all over the state to come down to represent their tribes.
Yes.
In terms of getting the work done to do that, the detail is phenomenal. Rooms, travel, some of us needed to get rides with other folks, other ladies, that happened. And getting us all together, gathering. Anyone knows, trying to gather 12 Native ladies from 12 different reservations together is in itself phenomenal, right?
At the same time.
At the same time. At the same time. And then a lot of us hadn't had, a number of us, probably 90% of us, don't have stage presence, and we learned that, or were taught that early in the day that we first performed, which itself was phenomenal. I think that in terms of the initial presenters, performers, that let's say, for example, Forest County Potawatomi, the young woman that did the presentation to honor her ancestor. She was related, and through the relationship, had such feeling when she talked about her ancestor.
Yeah.
And that feeling the following day at the Milwaukee Public Museum was conveyed to the audience. And I think that audience participation after the performances concluded indicated that everyone there knew how important it was to us, to our ancestors, the honoring that we did for them.
I think you bring up a real important point there in that, and the way it turned out, almost every one of the women who presented had some connection or relationship with the woman that was in the piece of art.
Back to the connections that you talked
Right,
about.
right, exactly. And so even though the entire piece there's dance in it, and there is some acting, we have student actors who do a skit that kind of runs throughout the entire performance, and we have the drum. There are many different parts. When the women present about their weaving, about the ancestor that's being honored, it's not acting.
No,
it's from the heart, and I think that's why it's so important, because this isn't a play in the traditional sense. It's a performance piece, but it's unique, and another part of it that's unique to me is that we've all made it together. There's not one person, who's directing all of this. It's all of ours.
You
And
know, live performance.
yeah, exactly. And everybody's bringing something
and
to
everybody
it.
feels proud and you know that they're there to represent their nation and their ancestors. I really love it. I'm glad to be part of it now. So.
And as it turns out, we have 12 performances booked for this year. And that's where Christine comes in a big way, because you've helped so much with organizing the rooms and the funding, you know, doing this. You know, when we had that little thought, Tinker, I don't think we ever thought about, you know, the fundraising that would be involved, and looking for grants and looking for sponsors and, you know, selling advertising, you know, all of those things that you need to do to make it happen. But you know, all of the moving parts of this. But you know, like you said, I think everybody's willing to jump in there and do what we can to make it happen, because there is that feeling that it's important and the message is important.
I think that in terms of the detail, I'll be real honest, Carol. When you brought me down to Milwaukee, I had no clue that I was going to be doing what I did down there. Other than the fact that I'm the kind of type of person that if I see something needs to be done, I have no problem helping out. So, you know, the question is, can you help out in the back? You know, can you make sure everyone gets out to the stage and gets back in? Can you make sure that the exhibit itself is in the right position at the right time? And I'm like, yeah, I can help do that. Sure. You know, so, you know, it was fascinating for me to be at the Milwaukee Public Museum and having a completely full audience of people coming into the museum that day. And then we had a little tiny room to work out of. It was the backstage area. And it was like, we don't want every small. Very small, but the ladies were all excited. We all huddled together, and it was like, you get out there now, you come in. I remember putting the X's on the floor so that people knew where to stand. You know, just those sorts of details that needed to be done, and were done. And I never had a stage presence that I thought. So, but the review is following that. The reception that we had afterward, and the questions that were asked, and the comments that were made by participants, audience participants, and the opportunity that the young ladies, the performers, you got to, you know, the information and questions that we answered were just amazing. Just amazing.
Well, and I think it points out also, you know, as you said, you were willing to help wherever it was needed. And I think that generosity of spirit, which is really, you know, one of the themes to me of the whole performance. You know, there's that theme of connectedness. There's that theme of 7 generations. You know, there's that theme of carrying tradition forward. I think there's that theme of humility. You know, no one of us, you know, springs knowing everything. We all stand on the shoulders of others. But I think there's that theme of generosity of spirit. Mary Burns, when we asked her if we could take photos of her fiber art, because of course we didn't want to have that fiber art on stage and take the chance of anything happening to that. The generosity of spirit that she had to say, of course, take photos of it. And didn't ask for anything for us doing that. She wanted to do her part. And that's what I've seen in general, is everyone, you know, wanting to contribute, wanting to do their part. And I think that's amazing. So I'm so glad, Tinker, that we asked that question, and that we didn't say no, we said yes, and that we've trusted. I think that's really helped make this work.
I'd like to mention Mary Burns, the weaver here, and how she came to my house, and she brought some weavings with me to show me the weavings, and she said a lot of people were asking me to be the representative from Flampo here, and so we sat down and we did prayers, and you know, and then I agreed to be part of it. So with the program, it was really beautiful, and ancestral women, you know, because a lot of these ancestors are gone to the spirit world already, and I'm still here. So I was thinking about how my role in this ancestral woman's performances that we're having, you know, currently, you know, and for the future, that part of it is being, you know, helping with the prayers, representing, and you know, not being part of it, telling my story, and so it's really beautiful.
Tinker, I have a question. How were all of the women selected to have their portrait weaved? And how did those portraits get to Mary Burns?
Well, just like I mentioned, she came to my house and different people suggested my name, and so she went to the tribes around the state, and she asked their people at the museums and different tribal councils who would be their representatives.
I just think that it's so important for everyone to know that each tribal community was requested a name, and they had input into providing that person's that ancestor's name. And because of that, in our moving on, it was okayed that we have their ancestors participate.
And I think it's important to note too then that we've also continued to ask for that input for the live performance. That Tinker and I actually went to communities and listened for everyone's ideas about how the performance should go, how it should be done, and so forth. So I think it's you know, that respect is so important. Taking the time to show that respect. And we've been talking about how the ancestral women and those who are speaking for them in the production are central to the production. And yet, if we didn't have the music, I don't think the production would work as well as it does. And the music makes me think again of all of the connections, because the music connects you to the production, for one thing, the two of you, but also the connections with the Hear Our Songs project, because we have youngsters, we have those singers are involved with you in this project. So Pam and Bobby, I wonder if you talk a little bit about you know, your part of the Ancestral Women production. And you know, how it works and how it involves the kids and why you think it's important. Bobby, how about you? Start.
I recently seen a movie, Cat Baloo, and there was a banjo player and a guitar player would intermittently show up during the movie to move the story along, and that's sort of what we're doing. Move the songs that we created helps move the stage presentation along with what we're trying to accomplish. And I agree with you, it makes it much more powerful presentation. And the older ones and the younger ones come together for one purpose. And that's what makes it neat, at least for me anyway.
And the Hear Our Song project that we were involved in, where young songwriters, 10, 11, 9, 10, 11, and sometimes 12, because we work with them several years, have come together and they wrote one of the songs that we've performed, the most recent one, and now they've just written another one. The first one is Water Like a Friend, which is very well received. So we talked about the idea, and then these of water and how precious it is, and then the most recent song is one about grandmothers. So these young elementary, middle school children sing sing their songs about water, which we connect us all. Life connects us all. And so Bob and I support them, and Bob provides guitar, and they're so organized they really don't need us. They do need Bob with his guitar, but we're there, and it's a light spot. We have elder women, we have ancestors, and then we have the youth. So that thread that Mary Burns has used to weave each of these women in the tapestries is also connected to our song and to the water that we all carry while we are living. And it's wonderful. And everyone is so enthusiastic about it. So I'm looking forward to presenting the new grandmother song with the children. And this the children that we work with, some have been the Milwaukee Indian School, and also the Lac du Flambeau Public School in Lac du Flambeau, Wisconsin. So we don't know what young people we're working with. They're always, Carol stitches them in for the show, and they're amazing how they take to the song like ducks to water.
Sort of like the Appaloosa Sky. If you might tell that story,
Yeah.
fit in with
The Appaloosa, Bob has chosen, we've chosen to call our music Appaloosa Sky. And if anyone knows about Appaloosa horses, they have, their spots are always changing. And they're frequently called horses of the sky. And so, like the musicians that we perform with, if you call the musicians like the spots on the Appaloosa horse, the spots are changing from season to season and year to year. And the young singers change from year to year. However, the traditional teachings that are here from these women and from these songs are always our roots and our rock. And so they're our guide in how to walk in good life. So I hope everyone is able to maybe wake up and respect the life that has come before, because we always make decisions with the children in mind for 7 generations. And I think Ancestral Women encourages that.
Ke ale shuna bi kwe